Tourists gather at Buckingham Palace to witness the royal guards, renowned for their impeccable uniforms, unyielding stares, and statuesque composure, maintained through their rigid postures and unwavering focus.
Stand clear! Stand clear!
They almost resemble figures in a museum exhibit, frozen in time. But these guards are far more than just backdrops for tourist selfies. They're highly trained soldiers on active duty, and provoking them is a serious mistake.
Oh, look at that, arrested.
Who dared to challenge the royal guards and instantly regretted their decisions.
Get back from the Queen's Guard!
What I love most is seeing someone spoiled or overconfident get put back in their place by a royal guard with a single, decisive move. It's almost a given that on every school trip, there's always one kid who thinks they're too cool for the rules and tries to mess with the guard. One morning, a particularly striking royal guard stood at the entrance, patiently allowing tourists to line up for their chance to snap a respectful photo beside him. But then, as expected, the Showoff arrived. This kid stepped forward, and instead of posing politely, he started flashing gang signs and putting on his best tough guy face next to the guard. Maybe he thought he was being original, or perhaps he found his antics hilarious. Whatever the case, the guard remained motionless until, with a single sharp, echoing stomp, he shattered the silence. The sound startled everyone, but none more so than the wannabe gangster. In an instant, the kid's cool demeanor evaporated, replaced by pure panic as he jumped back. The guard, still as a statue, fixed him with an unyielding, stone-cold stare, making it abundantly clear who was really in control. Not a word was spoken, but the message couldn't have been louder. Royal guards are not to be trifled with. The kid, now sheepish and red-faced, tried to laugh it off as he quickly left the photo line. Other tourists, who had watched the scene unfold, reacted with a mix of amusement and disapproval, some stifling chuckles, others shaking their heads. As he walked away, he likely wished he'd just smiled for a nice photo like everyone else. This woman found herself in a heated altercation with a royal guard, even going so far as to slap him. When an officer arrived to arrest her, she accused the guard of injuring her hands.
Away!
Oi, did you see a goal?
Did you see that? Is that alright with you lot?
Here, we have a royal guard catching a nearby girl off guard with an unexpected move from his horse, its hindquarters. Meanwhile, a mom filming her child in the guard's path was met with a booming yell that startled the little one so much they burst into tears. And over here, a royal guard gave a nearby girl quite the surprise with an abrupt motion from his horse, its hindquarters. If you're planning to visit London with your children, one of the first lessons to teach them is the importance of respecting boundaries, especially when it comes to the royal guards. Known for their stoic presence and impeccable discipline, these guards aren't there to serve as personal entertainers. However, on New Year's Day in 2012, a group of kids learned this lesson the hard way when one guard decided to make it crystal clear that their antics weren't welcome. It began with a group of boys giggling and messing around near the fence by the guard's post. They probably thought it was all in good fun, teasing the silent, motionless soldier for a laugh. What they didn't expect was the guard's calm yet commanding response. Without breaking composure, he firmly said, "Get off the fence." Startled and wide-eyed, the boys immediately jumped back. What started as a game quickly turned into a lesson in respect. For them, it might have been harmless fun, but the guard's simple, authoritative statement made them realize this wasn't the place for their tricks. The guard's response was both professional and effective. He didn't intimidate or scare the kids unnecessarily, but he sent a powerful message. Even in silence, boundaries exist and must be respected. It was a moment that left an impression they likely wouldn't forget. A masked man thought it would be a good idea to touch a guard's horse, but the guard quickly sent him on his way. Another tourist tried to stand too close to a royal guard, only to be firmly made to move back. In a separate incident, a guard's horse accidentally stepped on a tourist's leg before being led away. One tourist approached the guard too closely, prompting a loud shout to make her back off. Another near miss saw a horse almost biting a tourist, causing him to scream and run off in panic. Elsewhere, a man attempted to touch a guard's horse, but the guard's stern command to back off Finally, a group of tourists repeatedly bothered a female guard during her duty until she had enough and firmly shouted at them to stay far away. Trying to pick a fight with a royal guard, regardless of one's state of mind, is almost guaranteed to end in regret. However, one tourist in Oslo clearly didn't get the memo. Approaching the palace guards in Norway, he seemed to think their role was limited to posing for photos and entertaining visitors. While these guards may stand at attention in their plumed hats and immaculate uniforms, they are anything but ornamental. They're highly trained and disciplined soldiers. This tourist, oblivious to the seriousness of their duty, decided to challenge the guards, squaring up to them as if preparing for a street fight. The situation unraveled quickly. The moment he crossed the line, the guards reacted with calm professionalism and precise action. Without hesitation, they immobilized him in seconds, making it crystal clear they weren't there for his games. The crowd, initially entertained by his antics, fell silent as the reality of the situation set in, watching as the guards detained him with ease. By this point, the tourist must have realized how far out of his depth he truly was. Yet, even after being detained, he had the audacity to try walking away as if nothing had happened, like he'd simply been asked to leave a cafe for being disruptive. But the Norwegian guards weren't about to let him off so lightly. Their role isn't to play tour guide or provide comic relief. Instead, they handed him over to local authorities, ensuring he learned a lasting lesson in respect, one he's unlikely to forget. A military officer on horseback stepped in when she noticed a tourist holding a woman's arm in a suspicious manner. Despite his rude and dismissive attitude, she remained calm and in control of her horse, displaying her expertise. Nearby, it seemed like another man was involved, as this tourist was later arrested for disrespecting the authorities at Buckingham Palace, handcuffed, and escorted onto a bus. That's one way to handle unruly visitors. As the suspect's pockets and jacket were checked, the undercover officer was observed, not in handcuffs, getting into the back of a police van.
All taking advantage of, undercover copper right there, man in handcuffs. Getting put into the back of the police van.
Meanwhile, a woman tried to touch the royal guard's horse, but the guard's loud shout quickly chased her away. The horse appeared to be sending its own warning to tourists to stay back. When another tourist attempted to touch the guard, he stomped his foot in anger, prompting an officer to step in and ask her to leave. Meanwhile, one tourist, too distracted by his phone, nearly bumped into the horse's head, much to the amusement of everyone, including the royal guard. The only thing more fascinating to tourists than a distinguished royal guard is a royal guard on horseback. Almost every visitor dreams of capturing the perfect photo beside one of these majestic animals. However, some people let their excitement get the better of them, and that's when the trouble begins at Buckingham Palace. Despite the large, clear sign warning visitors to stay away from the horse's reins, one tourist decided those rules didn't apply to her. Tempted by how close the reins seemed, she reached out, her fingers just brushing against them. Instantly, the guard's voice cut through the air, loud and unmistakable. "Do not touch the reins." Startled, she jumped back. Most people would have taken the warning and backed off, but not this woman. She took a moment, then casually edged closer, camera still in hand, determined to get the perfect shot. The guard issued a second, more forceful command, reminding her to stay back. Ignoring both warnings, she approached yet again. By this point, other tourists had begun to notice her behavior, watching as she blatantly disregarded the guard's instructions. Finally, the guard shouted a firm order for her to step away, leaving no doubt that she had crossed the line. What should have been a quick photo op turned into a spectacle, drawing attention not for her picture, but for repeatedly ignoring the guard's warnings. This time, we're talking about a woman who was eager to capture a memorable photo with a Queen's Guard outside Buckingham Palace. However, her experience took an unexpected turn. The blonde-haired woman confidently approached a guard mounted on a magnificent black horse, hoping to snap the perfect picture. But as she reached for the reins to pose, the guard's booming voice shattered the moment. "Stand back from the Queen's lifeguard. Don't touch the reins." Startled, the woman quickly backed away, clearly not expecting such a reaction. As we've said before, the Queen's Guards are renowned for their stoic and unflinching demeanor, but they also have strict rules about personal space, especially when it involves their horses. Horses can be unpredictable, and the guards are trained to ensure that tourists maintain a safe distance to prevent any potential incidents. Unfortunately, the woman's close approach and attempt to grab the reins crossed a boundary, prompting the guard's loud and firm warning. The incident was caught on video and quickly went viral, sparking mixed reactions. Some viewers sympathized with the woman, while others emphasized the importance of respecting the guard's boundaries. After all, the Queen's Guards are not there to pose for tourist photos. They're there to protect and uphold tradition. No one learned a harsher lesson than the man who thought it would be amusing to taunt the Queen's Guard. On a chilly day, as tourists wrapped in winter coats admired the guards in their striking red uniforms, iconic bearskin hats, and polished boots, the soldiers carried out their routine inspection at Wellington Barracks. This long-standing tradition ensures the soldiers maintain the precision and dignity required for state events. Amid this disciplined display, an unexpected disruption unfolded. A bold heckler decided to test his luck, hurling taunts at one of the guards, likely expecting a reaction. What he didn't anticipate was just how far he could push his luck. After enduring the provocations, one guard had enough. With a swift, controlled motion, he He delivered a punch that knocked the troublemaker to the ground, leaving him sprawled and instantly regretting his actions. The crowd gasped, stunned by the sudden turn of events. In mere seconds, the heckler learned a hard truth. The Queen's Guard aren't just ceremonial figures, they're highly trained soldiers with formidable skills. Meanwhile, the other guards continued their inspection undisturbed, under the watchful eyes of Major General Ben Bathurst and the no-nonsense Garrison Sergeant Major Andrew Stokes. For the overconfident heckler, this wasn't just a ceremonial spectacle. It was a humbling, hard-earned lesson never to underestimate the Queen's Guard. This moment captures a royal guard perfectly balancing anger and composure. If you think those two traits can't coexist, this scene from October 5th, 2013 will change your mind. An unsuspecting tourist, leaning a little too casually on the fence at Buckingham Palace, probably thought he was just enjoying the view. What he didn't realize was that he had crossed into forbidden territory. But the Queen's Guard noticed immediately. Without hesitation, the guard marched over, his commanding presence demanding attention. In a voice that left no room for misinterpretation, he thundered, "Get off the fence!" And here's where the real impact lies. The guard didn't just bark an order and storm off. After his initial shout, he took a step back, locked eyes with the tourist, and in a calm yet firm tone added, "Stay away from the fence, sir." It was as though he reset himself, transitioning from strict enforcer to polite yet authoritative protector. The tourist, visibly startled, stood frozen in shock. Did he really think the guard wouldn't notice? Perhaps he believed he'd get away with it, but Buckingham Palace has its rules, and they are not to be taken lightly. This moment perfectly demonstrated why the Queen's Guard commands such respect. The mix of calm authority and fierce command underscored their professionalism and reminded everyone that messing with them is never wise. After all, in some places, such intrusions could provoke far harsher responses. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to stay updated on our latest clips.